933 KFM.
Welcome back to this edition of the 933 KFM Hot Seat. You can join us in this discussion by sending us messages on 6933 or via our Facebook wall, which is the KFM Facebook wall. Stolen money ends in the hands of private individuals. Failure to treat those, to track those and declare them to the public defeats the fight against corruption. You can comment on that. The show is brought to you by Nile Gold, and the coffee we drink is supplied by Ban Cafe. In the hot seat, IGG, Raphael or Bakku. We're discussing the question of declaration of assets. Mr. IGG, have you declared your own assets and liabilities?
Of course I have.
To whom do you declare?
The IGG and the Deputy IGG are required by the Leadership Code Act to make their declarations to the Speaker of Parliament. And that is what I have done.
As a sign of good faith and working with the public, are you willing to declare your own assets to the Ugandan public and liabilities?
Yeah, I would have no problem giving the declaration, making my declaration open. Yeah,
for me, you haven't made it open yet.
Yeah, but there is no reason. That is a
Why
reason.
Isn't there a reason?
There is no reason which has a reason to require me to make it public.
Mr. IGG, are you aware of a case in this country a few years ago when a holder of a public office registered a company in a 3-year-old child?
I would not be surprised.
You'll not be surprised?
Yeah.
So would you be surprised if would you still argue privacy if individuals who make declarations to you hide some of their properties in the names of even infants?
No, any property which is in the name of an infant who cannot earn an income is deemed to be the property of the parent.
You have a living
or one of the two parents.
You have a living example in that one case.
Yeah, that one I certainly is there. So you see, even when we are verifying declarations, the already idea we have is that when you go to examine the declaration of a leader, and a leader makes a declaration under his own names that these are my assets, and then these are the assets of my spouse, and these are the assets of my dependent children, then that means the property of the dependent children are really the property of the leader. So even when we are assessing whether the leader's income or the leader's assets are commensurate with the income, we take into account the property which is attributed to the minor.
Mr. IGG, what do you own?
Oh, very little. I don't have to really say it now.
A few poppers and
pardon?
a few poppers,
a few
and
goats,
cows.
a few cows. That's all.
No, but seriously, you have failed to utilize the public to help you in this fight.
You see, even
and
when
the public is looking at you and saying that
maybe the public spirit now has changed a bit, because I remember even when I checked the records at the Inspectorate of Government, even after the former IGG Jotham Tumwesije made the declarations open, those declarations never generated information about the leader's assets. We found nothing to indicate that because of that declaration there was an influx of information about the leader's assets.
That's not true.
We have been talking about, for example,
this
is true, because
I
have looked there. There is no case which arose out of that declaration being made public, that because of this public declaration there is an influx of cases, and that as a result of this influx of information, so much action has been taken. Nothing.
Wasn't it the failure of the successors to that office who failed to follow up?
So my point.
First of all, a lot has changed since.
Yeah, maybe now that's what I'm saying. Now since
Jotham,
then, maybe a lot of things have changed. Probably.
But also technology has changed.
And even now, for example, I have been, whenever I had opportunity to address workshops and meetings under the Anti-Corruption Act, and even under the Inspectorate of Government Act, there is a provision that allows the IGG to give reward of 5%, up to 5% of any assets that are recovered from people who have stolen public assets. But even this incentive has not generated a lot of information about assets which have been stolen. I've been talking about it. Now
it's
I'm
because the IGG, the
but,
Inspectorate has been a bad advocate.
People have not come up with me to say this property there I think is stolen, that one there I think is stolen, so that one can aim at getting the 5%.
Does it say something about the faith people have in your office?
Yes, I think it does, because in 2008, when we did a national integrity survey, that's one of the questions we asked. Why are people not reporting cases of corruption? Because our experience is that people don't report cases of corruption unless they have suffered. They have suffered and they attribute their loss to corruption. That reports of corruption in public interest are very scarce. So when we ask these questions, the National Integrity Survey report indicated that some people, a good percentage of people, say they are not reporting because they think that in any case no action will be taken.
Shocking.
No action will be taken.
How did you take that?
That is one.
How did you take that as your
We took it very serious.
And what did you do about it?
That's why we are taking action whenever we have basis for taking action. Then another substantial group of people said they were fearing victimization, that reprisal actions may be taken against them by the corrupt, because the corrupt are very powerful people. So out of fear, they were not reporting. That's why we have advocated for and put in place the whistleblower protection law, so that people who might have good information but are fearful to report can at least have the comfort that there is legal protection for them. That is the origin of the Whistleblower Protection Act. Then another group of people said they were not reporting because it was expensive. They did not have to travel miles and miles to go and report when they don't have personal stake in the matter. But of course, even this one, I think now is going to be resolved, because now most people are on the phones, on telephone, on the Facebook. So I hope this one will also be resolved.
That is why
so that it does not become too expensive to report.
I would strongly encourage these declarations. First of all, because I think you should stop breaking the law and keeping that whatever secret. And I don't buy your excuse about confidentiality. Neither do I buy that you have to listen to Attorney General. But let me just point out, Charles, that in the 90s, when this law was being tested, and the Honorable IGG is right, you know, legislation tends to take shape when the conditions are right. Now, just look at the technology alone. In the 90s, you had a handful of mobile phone users, and you still had a significant reliance on landlines. Today you have got about 14 mobile phone users, about 4 million of whom use the phone to access the internet. The inspectorate itself has taken measures, through its website, to come to the modern age. Despite the fact that this a strategy of making leaders' declarations open and in the public on a platform which is now easily accessible, that is increasingly penetrating the public, and comes at a time when corruption is one of the single most defining public policy challenges. The IGG still insists, and he told us in the last quarter, to argue privacy and to argue the Attorney General. Now, tell me how convincing that case is.
No, I'm not saying that is our really firm and unshaken position. What I'm saying is that these issues of demanding for the declaration of leaders, for purposes of publication, has come up, and we have considered it in that context. We have exchanged views on it, and we are still exchanging views, and we are going to, I think, have some final position in the future. But those are the issues which.
But who are you consulting? If you're consulting within, if you can consult the public.
We have our legal position.
Why don't you consult the public?
Even the public finds that now that the matter is in the open air.
Have you noticed that since April of last year, there have been street protests related, first of all, to public policy failures, and those public policy failures within the community of the government, has been attributed by the party that runs this country and by the political establishment to corruption. And I can list them: electricity sector corruption. There's a huge other institutions are now resolving this question of public contracts. Procurement is itself a major issue. People protest about markets, procurement issue, roads, performance of the public sector. All of these things are attributed to what? To corruption. How much more do you need to be convinced that the political class, which the Leadership Code Act sought to sort out, is a part of the problem? Do you need to seek and consult lawyers about implementing the law when it says clearly that those declarations ought to be public?
It says it doesn't say it ought to be public. It said they can be public, but assessed through application. So if there is a procedural step to be taken and the procedure is not defined, then what kind of procedure are you going to use?
After
so anyway,
15 years?
What I'm saying is that there's been a problem of answering to the legality, whether it is legal
How
or
long
it
should it
is
take?
not. But
How long should it take?
they will, so far, the position, unless we keep on addressing, but so far the position has been it is illegal.
It is illegal.
It is illegal. That's why that is
That is the interpretation of the Attorney General.
What has restrained us.
One last question before you take the break. Why has your director of leadership code refused or is reluctant to renew her contract?
Oh. Now, the Inspectorate of Government employs people on a contract. Previously, it was 2-year contracts, but now we found it was very unsecure to give only 2-year contracts. So we have extended the contracts to 4 years. Now, the former director of leadership code, has been in the Inspectorate of Government for a very long time. Actually, I don't remember for how long she has been there. So I think she thinks that it is the time up for her service in the Inspectorate of Government. You know, the Inspectorate of Government is a very straining place to work in. So I think she would like to go to do something which is more relaxing than what is there.
Let's take the break and come back to this discussion.
It's live.
It's hot,
Provocative.
and digs deep into the issues. It's KFM's Hot